Okay, hey guys. Today I'm going to show you how to install your edge trim on the front of your project. So here I have a project that's laying down and it has no edge trim. So you can see the exposed plywood. And sometimes, it's okay to just leave this. You could just sand this and leave it. It's a little bit, like ultra modern, kind of unfinished look, in my opinion, compared to this. This is from a student in our class who did a beautiful job. And you can see the edge trim right here. So it's nice and smooth. And then it hides the plywood. Okay, so you can see that he had filled in his nail holes with wood filler. He started sanding, and it just looks really, really sharp, this whole project. And his joinery was fantastic. I'm actually going to try to get as good as he did. So I recommend you trying to put some pine edge trim. If you wanted to really make it pop, you can request that I can rip you some 1/4 inch. This is how thick this trim is, 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch, and we could do some other species. I could try to do some black cherry, or maybe we have some black walnut lying around, and it makes a really fancy contrast between the birch maple and then a darker wood. But our go-to is the pine. It's easy to work with. It's easy to cut. And it looks good. Okay. So again, this is called edge trim. So I have some strips here that I ripped, and if you look closely, I don't know if you can see on the camera, you'll see sometimes just on one of the sides, there's saw marks from the table saw. And then on the other side, this one has it on both. So you're going to want to sand those down once it's installed. I'm going to do a little touch-up sanding on this student's project and see if I can get some of these saw marks off. So they're hard to see, but if you did stain your project, you will kind of see them. Maybe you want to leave them. Maybe you want a rustic look. So let's get started. So the order of operations when you do this is you want to do your outer pieces first. So top, bottom, side, side, and then middle. So I would be doing top, nail that in, bottom, then cut a piece to fit, side, side, and then I would do, on this one at least, it's worth debate, but I think I would do shelf, and then I would get some small pieces to do center dividers. And you can see it's starting already. You could compare this corner here to this corner, or that corner, that unfinished corner. It does look a lot nicer. I'm not going to do this whole one on the project. On the video. It's going to take me a long time. This would be considered like trim carpentry, finished carpentry, because you're doing the finishing work. And realistically, in the real world, the finished carpentry is what makes everybody else's work looks good. If you're working on a house and you're putting up the molding around your doors and your windows and your crown molding and base molding, okay, they have to be totally exact so there's no gaps and it looks really good. And then if you have painters come in, they'll say, we make the finished carpenter's work look even better. So the last people to touch the project really oftentimes make it or break it. So, all right, so let's get started. So I have here, this is labeled on this one, this is the bottom. So I'm just going to rotate this. Kind of like to start with the top all the time. And it's easier to work when it's laying down. So there's two ways you could do it, okay? I'm gonna do a quick little test here. So this is the top. Okay, let me just double check. There's the bottom. This is the top. You want to make sure that you got a good clean chop sawed edge here, okay, that it's not a factory edge. I'm going to do one test where, let me just make sure I got my pencil. I'm going to do one test here where I'm gonna line this up so that it's perfectly flush with the edge here. I'm holding it nice and tight, and I'm kind of squeezing it to make sure that it's really nice and smooth on the exterior edges. Sometimes you may get a little bit of a lip if the plywood is undersized. Okay, and the pine may be warped. Okay, it may have a little bit of a bow to it. That's okay. It's so thin we'll be able to bend it out. So I'm lining this up right here, and I'm just going to take my pencil. I'm going to score, okay, and then so I remember that I'm going to put the blade over here. So I scored underneath it. Now, this is going to be, I'm just going to write down here, trace, so we can do a little comparison. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tape measure and a combination square. I'm going to measure. So I got a good tape measure, and I'm getting 30 inches exactly, okay? So I'm going to lock this. I'm going to go to 30 inches. I'll pull this out a little bit farther so I can roll that tape measure. I'm going to make a mark at 30. Take my combination square and then get a really clean line. Okay, and I'm going to put an X for where the blade goes, and I'm going to say measured here. Okay, now I'm going to take I'm going to do a test. Let's see how accurate both methods were. Okay, I haven't done this yet. I'm just going to try it out. So I'm going to take this combination square here, and I'm going to line it up on my measured line and pull it right down. I would say that that is acceptable. So both methods work. If you had a really big project and you're working alone, you're going to have to measure, and it works well. If you're working alone and you want to go a little bit quicker, on the beginning pieces you can score them. Okay, so measuring and tracing, the lines are the same. Okay, I'm off by I think like a 64th of an inch, so less than actually a 32nd. Okay, so it's definitely negligible. So I'm going to go to the chop saw. So I haven't showed you guys how to use the chop saw yet, but I'll show you how to do this. So here's a chop saw. If it's a little dusty, we'll clean it off. And if I bring it down, so here there's a blade right here. Okay, teeth spin this way. This is the fence. Okay, we're going to be just doing 90-degree cuts here, so we want this locked in at 90. So I'm just locking it in at 0 degrees, which is 90 degrees. I'm going to bring this down without pulling the trigger, and then right here we have an LED that we can turn on. Okay, and now since I have my X, I know which side the blade has to go on. I'm going to make a bird's mouth with my hand. I'm standing 30 degrees off to the side here, okay? And I'm going to keep my hand basically in this triangle-ish area right here. I'm not going to hold it like this. I'm not going to hold it like this. And you can see that the wood is warped. I have to push it up against the fence, all right? Or else it's not going to be 90 degrees. So I'm going to, without pulling the trigger, I'm going to bring the blade down, and I'm going to get the shadow to just touch it. Now, some people may say, so if I were to then go up and make my cut, it would be very good. Some people may prefer on these small pieces to not use the shadow and actually just look at the tooth. Okay, so right here, I'm going to go over just a little bit, pull to the left a little bit, and then to the right a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to hold it down. I'm going to come down nice and slow all the way down till I can't go down anymore. Then I'm going to release the trigger, wait for the blade to stop, and then I can bring it back up. So let's see. By the way, when you get right to here before you're cut, you can make some little minor moves, adjustments, okay? I'll turn on the light to try to show you that, okay? So I'm going to double check again. I think I'm going to be good right there. I want to leave the line or split it. Okay, now come back up. So you can see I split my pencil mark. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm gonna pick the side of the wood that I think looks the best. I have a little remnant of a knot here, so maybe I'll hide that and I'll put this side right here. All right, so I'm gonna line this up. I'm gonna test it, and it is a good joint. Okay, it feels good. I'm actually feeling it right here. There is just the tiniest little bit, and it's flush here. Okay, I'm gonna just show you how you can shave the tiniest bit off of your trim piece with the chop saw. Don't use the belt sander. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm going to just get ever so slightly. I'm gonna actually turn the light off so I can really see a tooth. Okay, let's see. Right there, I think is good. So let me do that. I'll turn the light on so you guys can see. Okay. Granted, that was a little excessive on the accuracy that we're trying to achieve. You don't have to do that, but I did want to just show you that, and that actually feels better. Okay, so now it's perfectly flush. Okay, so we're going to use the 16 gauge finish nailer. We assembled our project with this 15 gauge angled finish nailer using these 15 gauge 1 1/4 inch nails. This time we're going to use smaller nails. So these are 1 1/2s. These are going to be 1 1/4s, and they're thinner. Okay, so I'm going to use the nail gun, and let me put some pressure on this. Okay, so I have the air hose. Okay, and I'm gonna get myself nice and comfortable so that the nail gun doesn't feel unwielding. Okay, line this up. Don't worry, I mean, definitely check the other side. Okay, that's going to be acceptable. So I'm going to get this side, the top of it, just flush, perfect right there, holding it nice and tight. And then I'm going to stay about 1 inch away from the wood so I don't split my trim that I just spent so much time cutting. And I'm going to go drive a nail right in the middle. Okay, there we go. So that one's set. I'm going to just turn the exhaust because that one burst onto my shirt right there. And then now we can go every 6 to 8 inches, okay? And you can work the warping out of the trim. So I'm gonna work this side flush, okay? I think I'll put another one right here, okay? So about, it's like a heavy 8, maybe 9 inches. Okay, if you wanted to, you can even do them a little bit artistically. You could do, 1 inch in here and do 1, 2, 3, I don't know, but we're gonna try to hide those nails with wood filler. Okay, so nail comes out from right there, forward and aft, left and right there. Okay, keep your finger off the trigger. Depress the safety, which is the little end of the nail gun, when you are ready. Okay, so I'm gonna just get this good right here. Let me just pull that a little bit more. Okay, and then pull the trigger. Don't ever put your hands on either side and go like this. There's a good chance the nail will curl out and go right into your finger. Okay, so we're doing good. I feel like it's starting to straighten out a little bit. You can see it's still a little bit warped over there. So I'm gonna push this one over so it's flush and hold it. Okay, right here. Okay, this is a little bit deep on the trim, I'm just going to adjust the depth setting here. I'm going to raise that nail up a little bit. And I'll do my last one. Here I have to kind of really persuade it. So I'm going to pinch it, okay, and keep it away from my fingers, an inch away from the edge, right there. Okay, that's a little bit better. Not that nail is set, not as deep. Okay, so this is good. I would then do the bottom, okay, and then I would fit in a piece for the middle, okay, and I would go around and do that. So I'm at, I think, like 14 minutes on this video. I'm not going to do this whole thing, but that's what you would do. If you make a mistake, okay, I could always use, if a piece is cut too short, I could always use it later for the shorter pieces in here, or the verticals, you know, and somebody else will definitely be able to use the trim. So just take your time, and it'll come out nice. Now, the next thing I want to show you is after you've trimmed out your project, okay, you're going to want to use wood filler to fill in your nail holes. So let me just glance over here at one side, okay. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is use an eraser to erase your pencil marks, your 3/8 lines, your center of your dado nail lines. Take an eraser, erase them. Okay, I have a label here. I'll erase that too. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take some of this. Okay, it's a water-based wood filler, and it's a natural color. It will accept a stain, and it should feel a little bit like Play-Doh. Okay, if it's hard, we could just add a little bit of water in it and make it soft again. And you're just going to get a little ball. Just going to kind of push it in. Okay, and that's not enough. And then you wipe it off. Okay, right there, that would be good. And then I'll do another one. Sometimes you can go a little heavy on them, so that's not good enough. Push it in. And I'll leave this one a little bit high, and I'll sand off the extra because it looks like it's, and then here we'll do one more. Okay, you would also use wood filler on your trim. Okay, so this stuff used to be made with linseed oil, and but the oil like really stained the wood, and you'd see like these horrible clouds of like a linseed oil stain. I was told to always go a little heavy with the wood filler because as it dries, it shrinks. This one doesn't doesn't shrink so much. Okay, so now it washes off of your hands with water. It's fine. Close that lid good, or else it's going to totally dry up and turn into a rock. I have set some up here previously that needs to be sanded. Okay. So we're going to use the palm sander. You saw this from, okay, I'm at 19 minutes right now. I know it's a long video. I'm going to replace this sandpaper, and I'm going to do two things on this, okay? So first I'm going to try to address the saw marks on this trim right here, okay, and see if it comes off. So from the feel of it, this one feels like it was sanded just with 220 grit sandpaper. It's like super smooth. I'm going to see if I have some 100 grit. Okay, and this is definitely 100 grit. And do I have any fresh 220? Not in here, okay, and there's none there. I'll cut some new ones. But I'm going to start with some 100 grit. Okay, get it under those clamps, right there. Puncture the holes. Okay, so let's see if we can get some of these saw marks out of this beautiful project here. I won't do the whole thing, I'll just do a little bit. If you can, lay your project down, okay? It'll make it a little bit easier to work. So here you could see some saw marks, some fairly big ones here. This is gonna cut it down real quick. Don't stay in one spot. So I'm gonna turn it on. Okay, that was great over there. I'm just gonna touch that one joint. You can see a little high spot right there. Okay, and with the sawdust on there, it is a little hard to see if it made a difference. So I'm actually going to just take the air hose. Okay, those saw marks are gone. Okay, that took me all of, I think, like 20 seconds to do. Okay, and as long as you keep it moving, you won't like make your project wavy. Okay, I don't know if you saw I was trying to feather out that little high spot. I was kind of going this way. And then I would follow up with back to 220 on this. Okay, so I would put some 220 grit on this and give it a final pass. Don't ever let the 100 grit touch the plywood. You'll cut right through this veneer. Okay, and you'll get right down to the plies. You'll see it. Okay, I do have to show you the. I actually do have to show you how to sand the putty with the 220 and what to avoid. Let me just get some 220 out of the cabinet. So 100 and it's 100. This is 220. Okay, so 220 on the back. I'm gonna fold it into quarters for the quarter sheet palm sander. Again, I wish they didn't change the color and they made them both. I wish they were back to white and red. But it's hard to tell them apart. Okay, let me just aerate that. Okay, and let's see how the old putty sands. So this one is dry. That one's almost dry. Actually, it's almost dry. Let's see. Okay, So you may be like, oh, that looks flat. I can't feel it. It feels good. You got to get rid of those clouds. Those clouds are going to stand out, even on the pine here. Okay, so work your way around across the whole project. This could definitely use a sanding. Okay, this whole thing. There we go. Okay, believe it or not, this sandpaper has got maybe another 30 seconds of use, and then it's shot. It's done. This is the 220 is so fine. So this, I won't even do 220 on this. I would do 100 grit on this first, and then finish it off with 220. Sanding is a little bit tedious, but that looks good. I don't see any clouds there. That is ready for a finish. Okay, and then it's just dusty, really. Okay, so let's see. That is it. All right. Oops, sorry, Mom. I'll call you later. And that's it. That's how you apply your trim. Apply your putty, your wood filler. Don't use the wood filler to fill in gaps. It looks really bad. And just recut the piece, and how you erase your edges, and how you prep it for finishing. Okay, guys. I know it's a long video, but it's important. And looking forward to seeing you guys. Have a great day.